Busoni himself called this the skyscraper concerto because of its immensity and its scale and size, and also because of the difficulty of its piano writing. Busoni, of course, was probably after Liszt the acknowledged greatest pianist in the world. He could do things that nobody else could, virtually, and maybe in some cases still can't quite, but we try. The difficulties are absolutely immense, and about 25% of this piece is the most heavily and, if you will, cruelly difficult writing for piano in any known piano concerto. A lot of it is actually quite playable, because Busoni is trying to combine texture. I mean, the modern piano with the modern orchestra can do a lot more in terms of color and combining of sounds than, say, the orchestra and piano of Beethoven or Mozart's time. And but so he writes, sometimes like Brahms, he writes immensely difficult things which are really just part of the texture and nobody notices how difficult it is. However, the listener will have no trouble noticing the virtuosity of the piano part. It's consistent. I'm playing practically the whole time. As Alan Gilbert said, the piano part looks like a sea of black notes, which it certainly does, particularly in the Alpine storm in the middle of the third movement, which is pretty unmissable because it's a very noisy storm. And in those measures, which don't last very long, sometimes the piano has as many as 128 notes. They're not the most difficult notes of the piece, but there certainly are a lot of them, and the harmonies actually do matter. And it's strenuous. It's very heavy to play. It means a great deal for me to be playing this piece here. It means a great deal for me to be playing anything, anytime here. And I think I speak for all of my colleagues universally. But since I had the opportunity with Christoph von Dohnanyi in 1989 to play and record this piece with this orchestra, it has a rather special place because although I had played with the orchestra a couple of times before, this sort of cemented what has become very happily for me a regular relationship, which is, as I say, a great privilege to play at the very highest possible level of music making in the world. You know, more than once in your life is a very great thing. It's kind of uncanny because the first time I heard this piece was with the Cleveland Orchestra in New York with George Szell conducting and the Italian pianist Pietro Scarpini in 1966, the Busoni centenary. And I never imagined that 23 years later I would be playing the same piece with the same orchestra. And I never guessed back then that I'd be back here 30 years later still able to play it and still enjoying it. In the meantime, I've played it quite a few times. I feel I know it better, and in an odd way, it's hard to say I can enjoy playing this piece because one is too busy. But I know the terrain better. You know, once you've climbed the mountain 20 or 30 times, you know you can climb it. So the question of getting to the top isn't the issue. The issues are more what you do along the way. And you know that occasionally here you can actually catch your breath and enjoy the view for a short while before the next really hard slog comes. Whereas I would say 30 years ago when I was playing it, I was just terrified with every next passage I had to play.